Good morning, everyone. Genti here. Welcome to Depth Foundation classes, where we explore the new ways of discovering yourself outside the conventional way that you all go through yourselves today. Okay. And the topic, I'll just go straight to the point because we're already 5 minutes late. The topic today is you have all the power in you. So you do not need any GO, any pastor to do anything for you. Do you understand? Now, the reason I said it is because, as I have always claimed, everything that happens around you is an effect to the cause of your state inside of you. Okay? The government is not responsible for the world around you. Your employee is not responsible for the world around you. Your family are not responsible for the world around you. Your friends are not responsible for the world around you. Your colleagues are not responsible for the world around you. Your neighbors are not responsible for the world around you. Your enemies are not responsible for the world around you. Everything around you are subject to the state, to the dominant state you manifest inside of you. And the simple way to understand what state is your thinking and feeling loop. These are the things creating the experiences that you're having. Your forefathers are not responsible for the world you are experiencing around you. Okay? Now, why do I mention all of these things, from colleagues to government to all of these things? Now, let me tell you why I mentioned them. Let's start with forefathers. Now, our forefathers, the organized religion in this part of the world, okay, has bastardized our forefathers so much. What they have done to our ancestors is unfair, untrue, and callous. The organized Christendom make us hate anything that has to do with our forefathers. Because you know what they do? They tell us they are responsible. What they have done is responsible for the outcome of the life that we are living now. And that's falsehood. And before I proceed on this, I want to remind you that you also will become forefather someday. All it takes is just 5-4 generation, 6 generation, you know. And then when those people that will be living then think, when they say their ancestors, they say their forefathers, they will remember you. Okay? And that's wrong. You're going to become even those people who are preaching and saying our forefathers this and that, they did this and that, will also be forefathers someday. Let's keep that aside. The next one is the government. Have you asked yourself this question? Why is it that no matter how bad the economy seems to be, there are people that are making progress? Have you asked yourself, why am I not part of those people that are making that progress? People are still buying cars, people are still, getting married, people are still building houses, people are still establishing new businesses, people are still traveling around the world. People are still moving on despite the so-called government destroying the economy. So if those people are still doing all of these things, why not you? So that's why I also said, so I've cancelled out the ancestor forefather things. That's why I also said the governments are not responsible. Now, your neighbors, I grew up in a face me, I face you setting. Okay, and in that particular kind of space, anything that happens to you, it's easier for think your neighbor is responsible for it. So we go about, hating on our neighbors, being at loggerhead with our neighbors, blaming them for the outcome of our lives. That's unfair, and it is falsehood as well. What about family members? A child who accused the father of not making it, so for that he didn't make it, or the father did this and is affecting him and all of those things. It doesn't exist. What about colleagues at work? That these colleagues, maybe because the reason he's progressing is maybe it's because he's using jazz and all of those things. It doesn't exist. By it doesn't exist, I mean that is not responsible for how your experiences have turned out in that work environment. What of relations? Uncle did this, uncle did that. Now, today, the reason why 90% of the Igbos don't travel, or not even 90%, but a lot that travel, but I'm talking about the number of the people. So 90% is the number of the people that don't travel to the east during festive period, that run away from the east. The reason is because their parents have told them that there's one uncle who is killing them. Then Nollywood also projected that to the minds of the people. There's always a wicked uncle who is, doing something to you. Today, I'm going to teach you all of these things are falsehood. Okay? And the host of others that I just mentioned here. The only person in this world that is responsible for the experiences that you're having in the world around you is you. There's no one else. I know that the Dibians will come and say, is your ancestors, that you need to do you need to do some sacrifices to do this and do that. They will say it to you. The pastors will come and say that your ancestors have done this, people will call, your ancestors have placed this because it was something they committed that is now having effect on you and all of those things. People, the kind of world you live in is the world that do not understand that every experiences you have is an effect to the state or the nature of your inner self. As within, so without. And that's why let's look for some Bible verse. Now, I like to put this disclaimer here when I am doing my classes, okay, depth foundation classes. There are things that we know that we want to put out there in the world for the rest of the people to know about it. One is that there is no God outside of you. Yes, I am sitting here. I am a God. That's what I am. And it doesn't stop there. Everything around you is God. How? Everything, you and everything around you is God. The Christendom call that whatever is responsible, God. Okay? Different people call it different things. In fact, the scientific word are now calling it the Holy Matrix. Okay, some people call it the unmanifested, some people call it the essence, some people call it consciousness, some people call it awareness, some people call it pure consciousness. Do you understand? Everything arises from consciousness. So what the Christendom calls God. Everything. After all, the Bible said he created all things. So in creating all these things, what God really is he's manifesting himself through everything. It's just an awareness. Then being me, being the phone, being the car, being the house, being everything is God. Everything came forth. I came forth from my Father, and I go back, and everything will still go and realize, the God nation. Okay, that's what we're trying to put out there. Okay, the second thing is that the Bible is not a religious book. The Bible is actually the greatest psychological book that's ever been written. Every content of the Bible is talking about what is happening inside you. And that's even where we coin the name of our classes, Depth Foundation. In the depth of you is happening inside of you. In fact, the Bible is the state of you. Yes, you. You are the God the Bible is talking about. You are the Jesus. It is you the Bible is all about. And it is not a religious book, because it's not philosophical. The Bible is not philosophical. The Bible is experiential. You will experience everything, all the visions in the Bible, everything, all the principles and all the laws stated there. You would experience it. But if you're seeing it from the perspective of religion, you are in the wrong path, and you will not experience it. But no sheep will be left. Everybody will be called back to their God self. Every single one of the over or less than whatever billion people on earth, everybody will be called back. Everybody will realize their God nation. Everybody. Nobody will be left behind. I mean, because it's just natural that should happen, since we are all offshoot of God. God, awareness is having an experience through us. Okay, so but I want to go back to why everything that happens around you has nothing to do with your neighbor, has nothing to do with your spouse, has nothing to do with your friends, your colleagues, the government, and all of those things. It is just you. You're the one, So let's start with screenshot. Let's start with let's start with just these verses. So if you go to Colossians chapter 1 verse 27. Okay, sorry, before I proceed, I need to make this disclaimer. I am not a pastor. So my essence of always, referring to the Bible verses is because the Bible, as I said, is not a religious book. It's a psychological book telling the tale of the things that are happening inside of you. Basically, your thinking, feeling loop, and what is beneath the thinking, feeling loop. So the thinking, feeling loop is the realm of the mind. But there is something beneath the realm of the mind. Your purpose here is to access back the thing beneath the realm of the mind. And the realm of the mind is the thinking, feeling loop. Do you understand? So that's what the Bible is all about. So if you hear me, if you're coming across my message for the first time, you can confuse me for a pastor. You are wrong. I'm not a pastor, and I will never be one. Okay, I am just a piece of life who understand the true nature of things, and I think it is time we start teaching it on the African continent, other parts of the world, the Southeast Asia, Europe, America. This teaching have come there and have been there for decades now. Okay, it is only lacking in Africa because Africa is just channeled towards the religion, right? Which is basically falsehood, right? So I'm not a pastor. Then the second thing is that I am not a motivational speaker. Okay, But whatever you hear on the depth foundation classes, if you apply them, you will start seeing them. And let me tell you, it's very difficult to apply these laws and principles that you'll be hearing here. But the key to it is persistent. And that's why the Bible talked about Jacob wrestling with the angel. Why was he wrestling? Because he was telling the angel, I will never let you go unless you bless me. What that particular Bible verse is trying to teach you is persistent. If you've been following me, meditations, you've applied the principle, the next stage, the stage before the actual manifestation of the new state that you're trying to create, you must persist until that new state manifests. That's the wrestle between Jacob and the angel. So it's the final battle between the old state and the new state. And that is the most intense battle. You know, when you cut off, so for example, use a fowl. Christmas is coming, but you've experienced a number of Christmas, so you can easily resonate with this. When you cut off the head of chicken, it fights the last battle. The head is off, but you see it, fight seriously. You will see massive power and strength coming out of it. It fights it, and then it will now let it go. That's the battle of persistent to move from the old state to the new state. Now, everything about life is in state. Where you are currently is in state. Where someone else is currently is in state. Do you understand? Life are all in states. And then you choose to move from one state to the other. What people do not realize is that you can actually move from a state to another. Well, you've actually been moving from a state to another, but you're doing it unconsciously because you don't know the law yet on how to consciously move from a state to another, on how to mold like the potter in the Bible who was molding, making different vessels. Anyone that doesn't turn out, to be the shape that he likes, he breaks it and, remake it into another shape. That is you. That's why I keep saying it here, that you are responsible for your life. The government is not responsible for the world you are experiencing around you right now, whether it is positive or negative, whether you feel happy or the government is not responsible. That's one. Your spouse is not responsible. Your children are not responsible. Your family members are not responsible. Your extended family are not responsible. Your neighbor is not responsible. Your colleagues are not responsible. Your employees are not responsible. Only you are responsible for the world that is around you. And now, how does those words? So the world is the state where you are currently. If you don't like the state where you are currently, the world around you, you don't change it by trying to effect a change from the outside. You don't do that because you don't change from the effect. If you want to change anything, you need to go to the cause. Life, as you experience it, is cause-effect. And the cause is from within. Now hear it in Colossians 1:27. Talks about Christ in you. The hope of glory is in you. And Christ is your wonderful human imagination. It's no body that lived in time and space. Now, the way to understand it is, take for example, Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart. Who is the main character there? The main character there is Okonkwo. Right? So it then means that Okonkwo, it means that it was Chinua Achebe, who is the writer, that created that main character, Okonkwo. That's the way the Bible is. The main character of the Bible is Jesus. The writers created that character, Jesus. He wasn't a physical human being. Hard to understand, but that's what it is. Hard to take, but that's what it is. Because, I mean, all your life, they've told you he lived 2,000 years ago. Every day they tell you, even, you know, right now, I know how old I am. But since I was born, they kept on saying he was born 2,000 years ago. You know, they ever passed that 2,000 years ago. But that's by the way. Let's just proceed. So Colossians tells you 1:27 talks about Christ in you, the hope of glory. 1 John 4:4 talks about he that is in us is greater than he that is in the world. Now, I told you that life is cause effect. The one that is in you is the cause. The one that is in the world is what? Is the effect. So the cause is greater than the effect, because the effect cannot be without the nature of the cause. So if you want to change anything, you need to focus on the cause. And I've said it, the cause is your thinking, feeling loop. How you think and feel produces the world around you. How you think and feel, you know, produces the world, everything around you, everything, no exception. It wasn't your forefathers that did anything, neither is it the neighbor or something. In fact, now I know somebody will argue and say, but really somebody did it and all of. Yes, let me tell you how it works. The moment you're firing a particular thought and feeling a particular feeling, the law of nature is that you must you must begin to have experience. You must begin to have experience of that will be in conformity with the thought and the feelings that you're firing inside of you. So if you're always thinking, I've made it, I'm a failure, that's your state. You will continue to experience things that will be in conformity with that. I haven't made it, I am poor, I am sick. You must continue to have that. That's the way it works. Okay? That's why the Bible here is telling you that he that is in you is greater than he that is in the world. This is a very interesting. Just keep staying with Gente, Gente on, Facebook. Okay. So we also have Corinthians, where it was talking about, do you not realize Christ is in you? And by the way, what's Christ? There's, we have a portion of the Bible that says, I like to read these things out. Before you people say I'm carrying you to where you don't know. Let's read that portion that talked about, where's my Google now? Okay, see here. Okay. So if you go to 1 Corinthians 1:24, what it says, but to those whom God has called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God. I know in the Christendom, they twist all of these things to, to align with that, falsehood part that they teach, right? Christ is the wisdom and power of God. And who is God? The Bible says, I am. Yes, I am. First person present tense. And that wisdom and power of God is what, do you not know? That's what Paul was referring to in Corinthians 13 verse 5, where he was asking, if you do not realize that Christ is in you. So remove Christ, put wisdom and power of God. Do you not realize that the wisdom and power of God is in you? Now, that is what is shaping the outcome of your life, good or bad. Remember, the Bible also said, all things are possible to him that believe. Let's, all things are possible. You are a creator here, creating your life. Just go and read about the potter in the book of Jeremiah. That's who you are. All things are possible. One thing people do not understand is that when the Bible mentions all things are possible, people think that all things are possible is talking about all good things. No, all things are possible to him. Good, bad, indifferent. All things are possible. It depends on the state where you are. You outpicture the nature of the state that you're currently in. So all of the people that you're experiencing around you, the way they behave towards you, the obstacles you have around you, how unhappy you are because of situations around you, all of those things came because of. So it doesn't matter if it is, as far as you are operating a state, you're firing a particular state, a state of maybe, hi, I never make a move, I'm not yet like Obi Kubana. As far as you're firing that state, you will never be like Obi Kubana. Do you understand? Now, what is the difference between you and Obi Kubana? The difference is that you are in a state, Obi Kubana is in a state. Now, if you go to the fundamental level of your thinking and feeling loop and that of Obi Kubana, you will see that the difference, obviously the difference is there. The way Obi Kubana thinks and feel is not the way you think and feel. So it's simple. If you want to move from your state to Obi Kubana state, you have to think at that, you have to assume the thinking and feeling loop of Obi Kubana. Simple. And all of these things telling you Christ, the power to do that is in you. So you do not need any pastor or a GO to pray for you. You just need to go in and reactivate that power. It's lying dead in you. You need to resurrect that power. And that's the second coming of Christ. Because I told you, Christ is, the power and wisdom of God. And you are God, I am. And then Christ is in you, as the Bible has said. So the wisdom and power of God is in you. Okay? So you have the power. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Let me show you where it gets interesting. Because you know what? This law is impartial. It is what is the state that you're firing that you would get experiences outside of you the same way. It is impartial. It doesn't care. It does not look at faces. It's impartial. It is what is in that would come out. The nature of the innerness is what would outpicture in your world. Let's go to, let me take you guys to Isaiah 45 verse 7. It says, I form the light and I create the darkness. Yes, you form your light, you create the darkness in your life. It is not the government, it is not your neighbor, it is not your family members, it is not your colleagues, it is not your employee, it's not your business partner. You. It's clarity here. I in the Bible is you, no other person except you. I form the light and I create the darkness. I bring prosperity and I create disaster. I, the Lord, do all these things. Yes, you. And you are the God is Lord, and you are the God. You are the Lord. Again, just go to, let's look at 1 Corinthians 3:16. Know ye not that you are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? Now, you have seen that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you, as the Bible puts it. Okay. Now, it is not telling you. So if the Spirit of God dwelleth in you, is obviously equating you, saying you are God, right? Although even in this dimension, you are a God that are forgotten. So, a God that is suffering amnesia, basically. So your job here is to remember back, realize. That's why it's called self-realization. You already it. You just need to realize it back. That's why the true path is the path of self realization. Okay? So you form the light, the progress around you, you create the troubles that you experience around you, you bring the prosperity that comes to you, you also bring the disasters that come to you. You do all these things. That's Isaiah 4 verse 7. Let me take you further. Let me take you further. There's something I will come to again, explaining the nature of cause and effect. I will come to that, and I will still come to another place, where, because the next question now will be, but some people can do something to you, maybe, of course, obviously, people can do just to you. Obviously, I'm not denying that fact, but I'll show you why it would affect you. Do you understand? But I want to let you know the nature, because I told you that this principle of your thinking feeling loop is impartial. It is what it thinks and feels that you outpicture, whether it is good or bad or indifferent. It doesn't matter. By the way, let me quickly throw this in here. The last part where we read, where it says, that God lives in you, right? Okay, and let me, again, I have mentioned here, I said that while I was talking here, I had said that Christ is not a man that lived in space. Like, he's not a human being that lived like you and I. Now, listen to this. In 2 Corinthians 5 verse 16, from now on, I regard no one from the point of view. Even though I once regarded Christ from human point of view, I regard him talks no more. Christ wasn't a human being that lived like me and you, that walked the surface of. Christ was a character. The people who wrote the Bible used to convey their. So it's the main character, right? It is where we all should aspire to be. The moment you get to the level of Christness, that's enlightenment. That's the point where you have realized your God self back. Do you understand? But again, I really want to now let me quickly throw this in again. So Jeremiah 18 verse 3 to 4. So, it says, so I went down to the potter's house and I saw him working at a wheel. But the pot he was shaping from the clay was mad in his hand. That is, it got spoiled in his hand. So the potter formed it into another pot, right? Shaping it as he seemed best. You're the one shaping your life as it seemed best. Whether it's good or bad, you shaped it. No other person was responsible for it. So let's go to 1 Samuel 2 verse 6 to 10. Now, that's the nature of your thinking feeling loop. It doesn't care whether you are firing a thought that will bring you bad experiences or not. It doesn't care. It is the nature of the thought you're firing that you will start experiencing the picture outside your world. Listen to 1 Samuel 2 verse 6 to 10. He said, the Lord killeth and maketh alive. I've told you. I mean, we've already read the part where he's in you, okay? The Lord killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. The Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low, and what? He lifted up. He raised up the poor out of the dust and lifted the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes, to make them inherit the throne of glory. Christ in you, the hope of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and hath set the world upon them. He will keep his feet of his sins, blah, 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 blah. So you make the nature of your life. Now, let's quickly go to the cause-effect nature. Let me show you something here. Hope I will be able to. Hey, before we go to that, look at what Colossians 1:16 said. For by him, your thinking, feeling loop, all things created, good, bad, indifferent, they are in heaven and on earth, visible, invisible, whether be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, all things were created by him and for him. So the life you're creating, your thinking loop is creating, all of them, the good, bad, indifferent, were created by you and for you. That's what Colossians 1:16 is saying to you. Do you get? Then, because of this principle, listen to Philippians 4 verse 8. Because you create the good and the bad that you are experiencing, in Philippians 4 verse 8, in our advice, you say, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent and praiseworthy, think about those things. Remember again, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. He's not telling you in Philippians, think about good things, because it is what you think and feel that you manifest in your world. And you manifest it for only yourself. You'll be the one chopping it when you manifest it. Do you understand? Now, listen to Proverbs 23:7. For as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. Do you understand? Again, let me throw this in. John 17:19 says, For them I sanctify myself, that they too may be truly sanctified. What is it saying? When you have formed the world that you're experiencing around you, and you need to change that world if you're not liking it, just like the potter, you might and then remodel the pot. What do? You need to change yourself first. You go here and change first. That's what John 17:19 is saying to you. It is when you change that they too will truly be changed. I will give an example of this one before I move further. So I have a colleague at work who we're supposed to be very close friends, because we entered the organization together. And then all of a sudden he or she, I'm not going to specify whether it's he or she, so that, so all of a sudden he or she started behaving somehow towards me. And I started responding without this law, as normally you'll be tempted to do. You started, responding, until after a while that, he or she left. Then there was this another he or she that were very close. Do you know what happened? The moment the other one exited, transitioned out of the organization, this other one that was my pally suddenly started behaving like that particular other person. Out of the blues. I now remembered, okay, I know how to fix this shit, man. Do you know what I did? I followed the principle here in John 17:9. For them, I sanctify myself, that they too may be truly sanctified. Do you know what it means? I went to the course and retweaked the way I saw them. And before you know it, it fizzles out. You know, so that particular state just died a natural death. Everybody started behaving normally again. So that is the power in you. And that's why the topic today is telling you, you do not need any GO, neither do you need any pastor. You have the power in you to do all things through Christ who strengthens you, and Christ is in you. No GO. You don't need any GO. You don't need any pastor. I'm telling you, you have that power in you to do it. You get? Now, I want us to focus on this. Now, listen to, let's go again. I'm telling you the power of your imagination. People just think, and feel anything they want to. They don't know that is responsible for everything around them. Well, I don't blame them because the teaching is not here. Normally, this teaching is supposed to be coming from when you were young, letting you know you need to be mindful. That's why in Philippians 4 verse 8, it told you should think whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is admirable, whatever is pure. That's what you should think, because as a man thinketh in his heart, Proverbs 23 verse 7, so the man is. Never don't take light. Never don't take light. Do you get? Now listen to John 6:44. No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws them, and I will raise them up at the last day. Nobody, no situation can come to you unless you draw them based on this principle of the nature of your inner state that I'm teaching in this class today. Nobody, no one can come to you. No situation can come to you. Be it good, be it bad, be it indifferent. It cannot come to you unless you draw it. That's it. I want to round off with this. Now, I'll be rounding it off with this because I want to let you know the nature of cause and effect. As they're all in the Bible. All of these things are in the Bible. And I keep telling you, the Bible is not a religious book. It's a psychological book. It's telling the story of your thinking, feeling loop, which is your imagination. And look, your beautiful human imagination is what sets you apart from other life forms. They don't have it. You don't know how special you are here. Then you take that power and go and give to one man that is calling himself GO or pastor. And then they use you to do whatever they like. Activate that power. It is in you. It has nothing to do with in fact, the concept of sin that they are teaching you is wrong. Sin, the meaning of sin means to miss the mark. And to miss the mark is when you are not on the path to self-realization. That's when you're missing the mark. When you don't know all these principles, you're missing the mark. That's what sin is about. Don't let them deceive you any longer. Well, they are making money out of it. So you need to go back. Start learning all of these things and start awakening that power that is in you, as the Bible have clearly stated. Now, if we go to Mark 7, 17 to 23. It says, after he had left the crowd and entered the house, his disciples asked him about the parable. Are you so dull? He asked. Don't you see that nothing enters a person from the outside can defy the person? The effect is not what shapes your life. That's what this is trying to say. It's not the conditions outside that is responsible for the nature of your life. Then he went further. For it does not go into their heart, but in their stomach, and then out of their body. What this Bible verse is trying to teach you is that the effect, because when things are happening around you, you focus on the effect. You ignore the origin, where it's coming from. Then you focus on the effect. Now, let's move further down to verse 20, where it said, what comes out of a person is what. Now, look at it. See where the difference is. In verse 18, it says, that's Mark 17. In verse 18, it says, that is Mark 17 to 7, verse 17 to 23. In verse 18, it says, are you dull? He asked. Don't you see that nothing that enters a person from the outside can defy the person? So what is from the outside is not where you can make change. So it has no effect. Where you make change, listen to what he now said in 20. What comes out of a person is what defies them. That's what comes out of you. What comes out of you. So the one that comes from within is what determines the nature of your life. I'll end it here. Join us next Sunday by 9 a.m. on Guarantee Life. I think from the people I'm seeing here, Shadrach, Kute, Amusa Arab, I think I'm not using my Guarantee page to teach this lesson. So I probably don't look at the Facebook to ensure, unless you people are following me on my Guarantee, because that's where I normally have the class. So maybe I didn't check. Because I was running late, I just turned on the camera. I didn't check whether I was on my personal Facebook page or I was on the Guarantee one. But if this happens to be on my personal Facebook page, okay, normally that's not where I hold that class. I hold this class on my Guarantee page, okay, every Sunday by 9 a.m. okay. So obviously what it means is that next Sunday it's happening on my Guarantee page, because I would have made this correction, okay? But I'll leave this here as well, it doesn't matter whether it's on my personal Facebook page or on the Guarantee page. But the class you're listening to today is Depth Foundation, okay? It's from an organization called Depth Foundation. I run that organization, and the essence of that organization is to let Africans know that the power is in them, so they do not need any GO or any pastor for anything. They just need to follow the principle of their thinking feeling loop, understand the nature of their thinking feeling loop, and begin to learn to reform it, begin to change how they think and feel, okay? Because that's what is responsible for everything they're experiencing around themselves. The economy is not responsible for it. Your employee is not responsible for it. Your business partner is not responsible for it, and all of those things. Okay, by the way, I need to, because of people will say, so let me round it off with this. Because I know some people will say, but there are people that will go to Babalawo and do just for you. Now, let me tell you something. This is the way it works. And I'll point us to the Bible verse. But before I say that, let me clarify this. Look, I'm not denying the fact that people can go actually do something to you. Okay? I'm not denying that fact. But what I'm saying is that the nature, the way you keep yourself in terms of your thinking, feeling loop is only what obeys everything, as you have read, everything that, as we have taught, everything that you experience in your world. Okay? The ones that is not within the realm of your thinking, feeling loop. If the person make it go anywhere where like may go do anything, it's not going to affect you. If you do not accept it to be true, how do you accept something to be true? The way you accept something to be true is when somebody tells you, I will curse you, I will do this to you. Then you start harboring fear that the person will do it. That thought of fear is an admission that that person can do it. And if that person really do it, it's going to affect you because you open the portal for it to come in. But if you do not accept it to be true, if the person actually does it because it is not in conformity with the nature of your innerness, what happens? Bam, because energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transferred from one form to another. Bam, it goes back to the person. That's how it works. Yeah, so what you hear about back to sender, this is the only nature, this is only way back to sender works. I will prove that from the Bible. I hope I can see it because I don't like this live to... Let me quickly search for that Bible verse. Okay, we can use John. We've read this before. John 6 verse 4. No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws them, and I will rise. So nobody can do anything to you unless you have accepted that thing will work on you. And accepting doesn't mean that you just open your mouth and... No, it is... Look, everything is about really feeling. Feeling is actually the secret. Feeling. That's why if you go to my Genti page, okay, search for the video on Faith is Magnetic Energy. What that video was teaching, what that lesson was teaching is that feeling is the actual force that draws. So when you think in a certain way, when you feel in a certain way, that's what draws something in. The next class will be about consciousness and the two aspects of consciousness. So it will be consciousness and the two aspects of consciousness. Stay with me on... that will be happening on Genti Live, by the way. I won't make this mistake again. So that will be happening on Genti Live, by the way, next Sunday by 9 a.m. Do you understand? Next Sunday by 9 a.m. on Genti Live. I'm going to teach consciousness and the two aspects of consciousness, which is conscious and subconscious, so that you will see how feeling is the key thing, is the force, or you can call it the fuel that drives, that attracts all of the state where you are operating. Is how feeling attracts it to you. Okay, so if anybody do something to you, it's only when you accept. Okay, so there's this guy, whenever I'm walking down to my office, I always see him. He happens to be a beggar. He has injury because my office is at Ikeja, somewhere close to Fela Shrine. So he has injury on his leg. So I've always seen him. He will greet me. Everybody wants me to give him money. Sometimes I basically don't do that. Okay, but it got to a point I decided I'll start giving this guy money. Do you understand? So, in fact, the day I thought of it, I got into the office and my colleagues happened to be talking about the guy. You understand? Because he's always stationed on that, road where we just walk down to our office. So, the guy has this big injury on his leg. And so the last time, from the day I made the decision that I'll be giving him money. So I stopped and I just asked him, a few questions before I could give him money. What happened to you and all of that? He said he was selling asu in Fela's Shrine and now did jazz on his leg. I said, who told you they did jazz? He said that's what they told him, that it was jazz. So he has this big wound that's swollen his leg, you know, and all of that. They now hit him with jazz and all of those things. He said, and I told him who to. He said that's what they said. He probably would have gone to different places and they would said it. But do you know the key question for me? I asked him, what did you say this thing is? He was just looking at me. And I told him, look, whatever you accept this thing is, it's what it will be. Not what anybody did to you or what anybody says. It is only what you yourself accept that it is true, that will be true for you. Do you get? So, I'm looking for that Bible verse. Good. Ephesians 5:13. It says, all things, when admitted, are made manifest by light. Light, of course, as we know, is the God of the Christendom, is Christ, you know, light. That's what it is in the Bible. But now look at what he said. All things, when admitted, will be manifested. And listening to the authors, I've said it here. I have corrected this. So when people hear all things in the Bible, they think all things means all good things. No, all things means both good, bad, indifferent, good, bad, ugly. What all? Now Ephesians 5:13 is now saying all things, when admitted, are made manifest by what? By light. That light, as I said, is the Christ in you. This is very clear and direct. So that guy, if he keeps thinking that it was something somebody did to him, and if actually somebody did that thing, it will continue. That wound is never going to heal. So what am I trying to say in essence? Nothing comes near you. That's according to John 6:44. No one can come to me. No one. What that Bible verse is referring to is no problem. Whether good or bad, nothing can come to you except the Father in you. That Father is that light that is saying there, draws it near. Now, the difference with that John 6 verse 44 with Ephesians 5:13 is now telling you when you admit it to be true. That's when it will be made manifest in your life. That's when you're going to experience it. When you admit it to be true. So let that person go and do that jazz. Let people do whatever. You just keep yourself the way you want your word to be. You know, via your innerness. Anything anybody can do, if it does not conform with the nature of your innerness, it actually goes back to that person. But if it conforms, which is that admittance, which is that acceptance, which is that when somebody threatens you, I'll do something, and you're afraid, hey, what if this person go and do it? That is actually you admitting that thing will work. And remember here, it says all things. So the light will manifest all things. Okay? So if it is bad, it will affect you. If it is good, it will affect you, because it's all things. It doesn't care whether it is good one or bad one. Do you understand? Do you get? Okay, so I think we have come to the end of the class today. As I promised, try and join me at Genti page, because that's where I really hold these classes. If you go to my Genti page, okay, you will see it. Let me put it on the comment section. Let me put it on the comment section. So, yeah. So click on that and then it directs you to the Guarantee page, because that's where Depth Foundation holds these classes that you're hearing today. We've done a lot of class today. You can always watch all the videos that are there. But next week, Sunday at 9 a.m., we'll go back to that again, to the Guarantee page. And I'm going to be teaching about consciousness, which is awareness, which is essence, which is the holy matrix, as the scientists put it, which is the unmanifested. Okay? And then the Christendom calls it God, while the Islamic world calls it Allah. Okay? We are going to teach the nature how it creates the things all around you. Okay? So I'm rounding it off now. So for those of you who are just joining, this class was about letting you know that you do not need any GO, any imam, any pastor, or anybody to consult God on your behalf. Because that God they want to consult doesn't even exist. It's just a mental picture they have in their head. You are God, okay? And not just you, everything is God, okay? You can go watch my video. I explained that phenomenon. I explained it yesterday evening. So if you go to Guarantee, just follow Guarantee page, go there, and then you would watch the last video I put up yesterday evening around 7 p.m. or so. I explained the phenomenon of what God is, okay? So as I'm saying, you don't need all of these guys to do anything for you. You actually have the power in you. The Bible made it clear, all the power is in you. So you don't need anybody except you learn about the power and start making use of it. And all things are possible. Anything you want is possible. It depends on you. Can you shift from one state to the other? Because life is about states. Wherever you are currently, what you're experiencing in that your world currently is the state where you are in. But what people don't know is that they can move from one state to another. And the secret or the driver that moves you from the force that moves you from one state to another is feeling. And that's why next week Sunday on Guarantee Facebook page, the Depth Foundation class will be on consciousness and the two aspects of consciousness. The husband and wife of consciousness, which is conscious and subconscious. We'll let you know how all of these things shape your mind. So again, my name is obviously Abushi, as you can see. Let me end again with this disclaimer. I am not a pastor. You'll be wondering why I'm, putting Bibles here and then I'm saying I'm not a pastor. Yeah, the reason is because the Bible is not a religious book. It is a psychological book. It's talking about your wonderful human imagination, your thinking, feeling loop. That's what the Bible is about. All the eyes, every character in the Bible is you. But the different aspect of your mind, that's what they are. Okay? So, I'm not a pastor, that's one. Secondly, I'm not a motivational speaker. Okay? So, I am just here to lead people to shine the light on the path to self-realization, which is simply your God self. On this level, you are God with amnesia. You simply forgot you're God. So you're already God. So your primary purpose here is to realize back. Is to realize your God nature. That's your primary purpose here. And until you realize it, you will keep repeating it. That's a different, a different matter for another day, okay? But you already know, the Bible already stated you have life everlasting, obviously. So what it means, you don't die. That's why, in the Bible, Jesus mentioned, do not be afraid of people who can cut off your head, kill you. They can only kill this skin bag. What you are, this thing you're seeing is skin bag, is a loan you took from the earth, okay? And when you're done with your time, okay, you give back that loan, and the very life force in you is ageless. It keeps going. That's why the Bible says, you have life everlasting. There's no end to your life. and there's also no beginning to it. Okay, but at this level there's a beginning, right? Because obviously your mother gave birth to you, then it starts. Okay, but the very life force that the Bible mentioned is life everlasting that is in you has no end and no beginning. So stay with Genti. Every Sunday at 9 a.m. we'll continue to do a deep dive into all of these things, and I hope you can I hope you would have the grace to open your mind to see things differently other than the one you have been taught all your life. All right, thank you for listening, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. See you next week Sunday at 9 a.m. on Genti page. I've put the page here, so let me put it again so you can follow us, so that whenever we are having our class, you will know where. Okay, it's not popping up again. I wonder why. Okay, it's here. So whenever we're having our class, you can join us. All right, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Genti. So Genti simply means listen. So Genti. Take care. Bye.